All right, let's dive right into the forensic files on a really strange cyber attack. It's a story about a ghost in the machine, really, and how investigators uncovered this wild plot to control an iPhone with a voice that nobody could actually hear. So let's open the case file.
So let me just ask you this straight up. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? But this question is at the absolute heart of the investigation we're looking at today. It's a question that cybersecurity experts had to answer when they came across a device that just seemed to have a mind of its own.
And the answer, as these forensic files showed, was a pretty chilling yes. We're about to walk through how this threat group known as ThinkLuke managed to turn a common household device into a weapon, using nothing but sound to hijack one of the most trusted features on your phone.
You know, every good digital detective story starts with a mystery. And this one didn't start with some big flashy alarm or a ransomware note. Nope, it started with this quiet, unsettling feeling that something was just off. It all started when a user reported their iPhone 8 Plus was just acting bizarrely. It was like a ghost was in the phone, pulling strings from behind the curtain. This wasn't your typical virus. It was way more subtle, way more sophisticated. So with the scene set, investigators started hunting for clues, those digital fingerprints that attackers always leave behind. And what they found, well, it was fascinatingly deceptive.
Okay, dig in through the evidence. They found 3 huge red flags. First, the phone's browser history had these really weird suggestions, uproot.im and some strange Korean text, a major anomaly. Second, they found the home's router IP address on a security blacklist, flagged as a worst offender. And that led them straight to their prime suspect for the entry point, a compromised BT Hub 5 home router. But here's the twist. Those weird search terms, they were a trap. This is a tactic called digital gaslighting. The attackers, ThinkLuke, were deliberately planting fake clues to send the investigators down the completely wrong path, just to waste their time.
And this just illustrates their strategy perfectly. See, uproot.im is a site for Android rooting tools. Planting those search terms on an iPhone was a brilliant way to send the forensics team on a wild goose chase, looking for the wrong kind of hack on the wrong kind of phone.
So if all those clues were just a misdirection, what was the real weapon? Well, investigators soon discovered that the attackers had turned that compromised home router into a broadcast device for a completely silent, invisible attack. The attack happened in 3 stages. First, they exploited a vulnerability to modify Siri's main command file, also known as a plist. This let them create secret triggers and, this is crucial, hide the Siri interface so the user wouldn't see a thing. Second, they used that router to broadcast high-frequency audio commands. And third, they snuck all the stolen data out, disguising it as totally normal Apple traffic.
And this is the key to the whole thing. The audio commands were broadcast at around 20 kilohertz. It's a very specific number for a very specific reason. So, what's the big deal with 20 kilohertz?
Well, it's pretty much a dog whistle for your phone. Most of us humans, especially as adults, can't really hear anything above 18 kilohertz, but your iPhone's microphone, oh yeah, it can hear those frequencies perfectly fine. The attackers were literally talking to Siri in a language you were physically unable to hear, a truly silent command.
Okay, so now we get how they did it. Let's look at the terrifying what. Once they had this silent, secret line of communication to Siri, what could the ThinkLuke group actually do with it?
The level of control they got was staggering. I mean, look at this. They could silently turn on the microphone and just listen in. They could get past the lock screen to track the phone's GPS location. They could even read contacts and dictate new messages to spread their malware, and get partial access to passwords saved in the keychain. It was almost total control.
This quote from the forensic report just sums it up perfectly. This wasn't just some passive spying. The attackers had weaponized Siri, turning the entire voice recognition system into their own private remote terminal. They could run commands on the device like they were holding it right in their hand.
Of course, for every new attack, the good guys start building a better defense. The discovery of this exploit really pushed security firms like AegisNet to create new, pretty sophisticated ways to shield our devices from these invisible threats.
2 key defenses were developed. First, a hardware kill switch that forces a visual notification to pop up on the screen anytime the speech system is activated. That makes a silent attack impossible. Second, a system that constantly checks those core command files for any unauthorized changes, and if it finds any tampering, it just locks the device down. But the story doesn't quite end there. The most unsettling part of this entire investigation is what happened next. It reveals just how hard it can be to get rid of a ghost once you've let it in.
This timeline is just mind-blowing. The initial infection happened back on an iPhone 8, but when the user upgraded to a brand new iPhone 12, those malicious command files, the artifacts, they just migrated right over with the backup. Even years later, major iOS security updates couldn't get rid of them because the system saw them as authorized changes that the user had made. The ghost had literally followed them to their new phone.
And all of that leaves us with this final, kind of haunting question. This attack wasn't just about stealing data. It was about corrupting the very memory and trust of a device. It really forces us to ask, in a world of these persistent threats, what does it actually take to wipe the slate clean?